Greetings. My name is Alan Samuel, and today I would like to tell you about the three most important commands in Linux. To start with, we begin with the fork command. To implement that, we have the C code here, and we will break it down one by one. To start with, we have these three, which is known as the header files, which are used to invoke certain libraries. This is known as stdio.h, otherwise known as standard input-output function. The second one is known as sys/types.h, which is used for data types used in system calls. And finally, we have uni.std.h, which is used for system calls including process-related functions. And finally, we declare a main function with void as one of the arguments. And now we begin the process of declaring the variables. And then we get the process ID using this function called getPID. And this retrieves the process ID of the current function. And then we have the next function, which is called getPPID, which is otherwise used to retrieve the process ID of the parent function, otherwise known as the process ID of the parent process. And then to conclude, we print the first process, which is the getPID function, and the last process, which is the getPPID function. And so it prints a process ID of the parent process, which is this one, and it prints a process ID of the current function, which is this one. And now let us see the execution. So as we can see, we have stored our file in the name of ex1, and the way to invoke it is by pressing this, and then after saving the file with the extension .c, it officially becomes a C program file. And after we call this, we check it to see whether it's in our compiler using the ls command. And as you can see, our file name is displayed here. And then we use the command called gcc, which is used to bring in our file into this program. And these are part of the syntax, and this is our output variable which we will be using, and this is the name of our file. If the syntax is fully correct, we invoke the command which is used to display the output, and as you can see, the output for the process ID of the current function and the process ID of the parent process is being displayed. Hence, the first program is complete. Now, we will be seeing about the second most important command in Linux, the wait command. And we have this code to implement this. Let's break it down one by one. Like the previous code, we have two of our standard libraries, the standard input-output function and the uni.std library. The new libraries which we are calling here are stdlib.h, which is used for calling certain library functions like exec. So once we have declared the main function, it is time to declare our variables. So here we will be declaring a variable called PID, which is used to store the return value of the fork call. And it is worth noticing that PID is of integer value. So what we are seeing here is, if the value of PID is 0, the process that is being executed is a child process. And we can see the value of the current function and its parent process being executed. But suppose if this case is false, then we can see that it is a parent process, and only if the process ID of the current function is executed and the value and null is being passed as an argument of the wait function, and the parent is exiting and the exit function is finally called. Now let us see the code implementation. As you can see, we have implemented the same condition. Once we have called the file and implemented the gcc command, and we have given the command to display the output, we can see that the first case is true. The value of PID is 0, and therefore we can see the process ID of the current function and the process ID of the parent process being executed, while we can also see the opposite case being executed as well, which confirms that our program is correct. And now we have seen the full working of the wait function. Now we will see the final important command in Linux, and that is the execute command. And here we have the code for its implementation. Let's break it down one by one. So like the previous code, we have the stdio.h and the stdlib.h and the unistd.h. The new libraries which we are gonna call here are sys/wait.h, which is used for functions related to process management and waiting for process termination. The next library, sys/types.h, is used for various data types used in system calls. So now we begin the process of declaring variables, and we have declared an integer variable status, and it is used to store the exit status of the child process. Now we will see a new function called execl, and it is used to replace the current process image with the new process image specified by the given command. It takes the path to the executable file followed by the arguments to be passed to the executed program and terminated by a null pointer. And therefore we can see the implementation right here. And now 2 execl calls are made to run on the ps command with different specifications. And now we will be seeing another function called wait and status, and like the comment says here, this waits for the child process to complete. And now we have this function called wife exited, which we have not implemented here, but otherwise using the value of the execl call, we are determining whether the child process has exited successfully or not, and using the wait and status command we find out whether the child process has completely terminated, and if it has, we print the done command, and therefore we exit the program. Now let's see the implementation. So in this case, after calling the file using the gcc command and giving the command to print the output, we use the ps command, and therefore this entire code shows that our running is successful, and therefore we can see that the child process has terminated successfully. Thank you.